So in this part of the lesson, at this point, you want to make sure that you've taken your unit circle that we did with the triangles and you glue down the coordinates piece now. So make sure it's glued down and we're going to fill in the coordinates. My picture looks a little different than yours, but it's going to give the same effect of the coordinates. So we're going to make our unit circle as easy as 1, 2, 3. Okay. So on this presentation, the A stands for all, S stands for students, T stands for take, and C stands for calculus. So we still have those same properties just like we did on when we were doing the triangles. And we know that the x values are always cosine and the y values are always sine. Then the very first thing that I label are my angles. So I'm going to go ahead and start with my quadrant angles on there, and then my over 4s, my over 6s, and over 3s. You have that all labeled, so you don't really need to do that again. Then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my quadrant angle coordinates. I always know that I am out 1, up 0 when I go to the first one on the right on the x-axis. I am out 0, up 1 at pi over 2. I am out -1, up 0 at pi. And I am out 0 and down -1 at 3 pi over 2. And it's important that you get those correct. I did have a student a number of years ago who said, hey, that looks like a -10 and that looks like a +10. It's not what it is, but it kind of looks like that. And if it helps you remember that's what it's got to look like, then you can use that. Okay. So now I'm going to start by counting. We can all count to 3. Okay. So you can all do this. So notice how this is 0 in this spot right here. So I am going to count up to 1, 2, 3. Okay. Then this is 0 here in the x spot. So I'm now going to count down to 1, 2, 3. Okay. So up 1, 2, 3, down 1, 2, 3. It's based on where the coordinate is 0. We know that all of these ratios come out to have a 2 in the denominator. Oh, apparently I'm still counting. Okay. So I'm going to come from this x coordinate here. I'm going to go out, count down 1, 2, 3. And then I'm coming from this y coordinate here and I'm going to count up 1, 2, 3. Okay. Then I'm going to come from this y coordinate here and I'm going to count down 1. Oh, apparently I'm coming up from the x coordinate. Count up 1. Oops. No. 2, 3. And then I'm going to come from the y coordinate and I'm going to count down 1, 2, 3. And then I'm probably coming from this x coordinate. Let's see what it does. Counting up 1, 2, 3. I'm going to come down from this y coordinate and count down 1, 2, 3. Now, there's a pattern with all of our answers. They all are divided by 2. So I'm going to divide every single thing. Never mind. I'm going to take the square root of every single thing. So all of them have a square root on the top. The reason I don't put 1 over the 1 is that the square root of 1 is just 1. So we can skip the 1s. If you write it there, it's not wrong. Then we know that every single thing is divided by 2. Okay, so you put your divided by 2s, and again, you can pause the video to write down all of that work. Finally, we need to put our signs on there. Okay, that's where the all students take calculus come in. So everything is positive in this quadrant. We know in the second quadrant, only sine is positive. So the x coordinate, which represents the cosine, is going to get negatives on it. In quadrant 3, we know the only thing that's allowed to be positive is tangent. So both this cosine and the sine, so the x and the y coordinate, both get negatives. And then finally, in the fourth quadrant, we know that the cosine is the only thing allowed to be positive. So we know that the x value is going to stay positive, but the y coordinate, which represents sine, is going to be negative.